Now, before I start, I do want to give a very quick comment on the whole topic I'm about to discuss. I know for a fact that people will be triggered and offended by this video. I know there will be people who think differently. I know there will be people who believe that I'm not correct. To those people, I like to say, good for you, but I'm gonna speak my mind anyways. If you're gonna take a look back in time, let's say we look back at the 50s and what Hollywood and the film industry was like back then. Although I'm not all-knowing, I think we can agree that the majority of the leading roles in films back then were white males. They often had to rescue a pretty lady, a damsel in distress, whatever you want to call it, and they often had a sidekick, etc. That's how things were back in the day, almost every single time. Luckily, changes came after a while when Hollywood started to see that women were equally as capable to represent a strong lead role in films than men. Thanks to the 70s and the 80s, we have gotten some pretty strong female leads. I mean, like Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley, Princess Leia. Even later in the 90s, we got like Rose in Titanic. Even in more recent history, we've gotten characters like Black Widow, Wonder Woman, and Katniss Everdeen. These are all great, fleshed out characters that show us that it should not always be the men who save the day. It shouldn't even always be white men who save the day. Diversity has a big part to play in the future and can most definitely make a difference. If done right. Unfortunately, and now comes the big bomb, society has taken a severe detour during the last couple of years. You see, in the 70s there were pretty much no limits. Every single thing could be done and said. Smoking in cafes, laughing with Jews, cursing in front of children. Everything was allowed, everything was free, and no one said a word. Inevitably, this was bound to change. In the 90s, they started to believe that we should put brakes on this system, that we can't just laugh with everything and insult everything and be reckless all the time. No, we can't do that. So, changes were made. Now, not that I'm not for changes, it just depends which ones. I'm a person that likes to laugh a lot. Like, really a lot. I find that our biggest source of strength can often be our ability of having a good sense of humor. That is one of the most important things ever, in my opinion. Sadly enough, the ball went rolling from the reckless 70s attitude, but it got past the perfectly balanced midpoint and it went rolling all the way to the other side of the spectrum, what I like to call the intolerable decade. Nothing is allowed anymore. Smoking is a sin, you can't laugh with any social group whatsoever, sarcasm is blasphemous, and it's all the fault of white men. The heroes have become the villains, the sidekicks have become the heroes, and the original villains have just disappeared. This overwhelming force of progressivism and agenda-pulling communities have grasped the entire world the last couple of years that it's hard to believe that the reckless 70s ever even existed. And it has also made its permanent mark on the film industry. You see, white men are in such a queer spotlight right now that it's pretty much sexist if we only have white male leads anymore. Diversity has become priority number one. Again, I have nothing against diversity. I don't have a single issue with it. What I do have an issue with is how diversity has become the number one priority. What are the key elements of a good story? Well, characters, pacing, storytelling, suspense, climax, structure. Do we love Jaws because there are three white men who are hunting a killer shark? Do you love The Godfather because the son of a powerful man needs to take over the business? No, we love these stories because they have great character development, excellent suspense, and virtually perfect storytelling. Yet now we live in a world where we need to get excited because we're going to have a full female lead Star Wars film. We need to get all hyped up because a film is going to have a full black cast. And every time one of these new films is being promoted, not a single word is dedicated to the story, not a word to the characters. It's all about the fact that it's going to have a diverse cast. A minor detail of a story has become the judge, jury, and executioner of the whole goddamn film industry. And it's because of that new mental state that Hollywood has forgotten how to write actual good characters. So many people for some reason consider strong female leads with no flaws and no limits as good characters. These characters are boring, they're artificial. We love characters like Sarah Connor, for example, because she has a round character. She starts off in point A, then goes to point B, and ends up in point C. During this evolution, she constantly changes and is confronted with inner duels and battles that she has to win. It makes us care for her because we also recognize that in our own lives, we also make mistakes, we also endure hard times, and all of that changes us into the person that we will ultimately become. This is what makes a good character, not a Mary Sue surrounded by male idiots who constantly need to be reminded how badass women are. Another example. Why is Aliens, one of my favorite movies, why is that so great when it comes to the characters? Well, because they are all on the same level. You have Ellen Ripley, you have the soldiers, you have the little girl, you have the androids, all different kinds of people, but they treat each other equally. They are all great in their own ways and they don't have to make the others look like idiots to show that. They respect each other, they feel like a family. That's one of the best parts of that whole film. It's why that film is one of the best action movies ever created, in my opinion. Now tell me I'm wrong. If Aliens would be made today, we would have, let's say, a 90% chance that Ellen Ripley would be a Mary Sue and that all the male soldiers would be either incompetent or arrogant buffoons. Tell me I'm wrong. Just tell me I'm wrong. It just frustrates so many film lovers because we all grew up with these amazing stories, these great and lovable characters, and we want to see more of that. But the ball has just gone so far off course that the most powerful individuals of the film industry only want to see dollar signs and approval of the LGBTQ community. It doesn't matter how creative the story is, it doesn't matter how deep the characters are, the only thing that matters are diversity and profits. You see, I love film. I will love it to the end of my days. And I hope with all my heart that we can change this course, because it will ultimately lead to the death of the type of films that we all love. This was Insight, guys. I need to get this off my chest. It did me well. See you guys later.